I can already tell today's tip is going to be a really good one because it's a technique that I use in pretty much all of my tracks. Every single Dirty Secrets track pretty much has got this within it. And I'm talking about looped vocals. Now what I tend to do is I take a vocal, I'll loop it up and I'll kind of put it in the background almost, creating this kind of vocal texture, and it really helps the track to move along. It's something I kind of borrowed from kind of speed garage, old school speed garage, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So if you haven't seen one of these videos before, I am doing a brand new music production tip every single day of January. That's right, 31 days, 31 tips. And today I'm talking about a technique that I use all the time. I loop vocals constantly. That's one of my favorite things to do within my tracks. I'll take maybe the key vocal of the track and I'll kind of choose a section of it and I'll loop that up. And it creates this really interesting texture. Really kind of helps the track to move along, and without having to find another vocal sample, you're kind of reusing the stuff that's already there. So it's a really good technique. So let's jump into Ableton and I'll show you exactly how I do it. So I've kind of set this up as an example. I've just got a beat going here and a simple vocal that I just found in a sample pack. So it's nothing amazing, but what we're going to do is we're now going to loop that vocal up. So at the moment it is already a loop, but I'm going to make that a much tighter loop. So I'm going to jump straight into here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the loop region here. We need to make sure, obviously our clip is set to loop, but we're going to use this loop region up the top here to really shorten it down. Now this tends to work when you're kind of using almost 2 beats worth of loop. So that's kind of usually what I kind of aim for, but sometimes even 1 beat worth of loop, or maybe even 4 beats worth of loop. It depends on the vocal that you have, but we'll go for maybe 2 beats for now and see how that sounds. Now the great thing about this is that you can actually listen to this as you're kind of editing it almost. So what you can do is you can preview this as you're playing through the track. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to play the track through and kind of adjust this loop region to kind of see what kind of loop I want to make out of this vocal sample. So I can already hear that it's got a really kind of cool loop to it. Now, I've already got this kind of locked in this 2 beat loop, so it's going to stay that way forever. But I can also move the start point of this loop. So maybe I want to start it maybe here, for example, or here. I can easily move this and kind of almost offset that loop. So as you can see, it's almost got a different feel to it now. And if your loop isn't quite in time, then you can even zoom in a bit further and actually just tighten it up just that little bit more. So we're taking this average kind of vocal sample and we're really focusing on maybe a couple of words within it or a couple of syllables. And all of a sudden this vocal sample is now turning into a groove or a rhythm of some sort. And it's a great way to kind of come up with the idea for a track. It's often how I start my tracks. Now we can take this a little bit further by adding some effects onto it. So one of the things I usually add to a vocal sample like this is the auto filter. It's one of my favorite plugins within Ableton. And what we want to do is now almost create a rhythm. We're going to follow the rhythm of the vocal sample with the filter by using the LFO. So what I'm going to do is first off is I'm going to take the frequency right down of the filter to cut some of that top end out. And next up, I'm going to increase the amount on the LFO and I'm going to change the rate over to sync so that it actually syncs with the beat of our track. Now you can adjust this kind of rate to kind of get the effect that you're after. I think I might go for maybe half. Let's see how that sounds. So by setting the auto filter to the sync setting, we're able to kind of create this rhythmic kind of filtering happening. Now we can also adjust how and when that happens by using the offset. So I'm going to play around with this and see if we can get a different effect. So as you can hear there, it's got this really kind of deep effect and you almost can't hear it as a vocal anymore. It's just this kind of texture going on within the background. It's just a really kind of awesome way to kind of work with vocals. Now you can also adjust this LFO so it goes over a longer amount of time, which gives you a more of a kind of sweeping effect. So I'm going to increase this rate right up and see what else we can get out of this. So as you can see, it's a really simple technique, but I use it in my tracks all the time because I find it so effective and I love the sound that it gives my tracks. And also you get a different effect every single time depending on which vocal sample you use or which parts of that vocal sample, what effects you put on it and what settings you do on those effects, that it's almost impossible to get the same texture that you've done before. So yeah, I definitely recommend giving it a go. And if this video has been useful to you, then definitely subscribe to this channel. As I mentioned, every day this month, I'm going to do a brand new music production tip. So definitely subscribe and hit that notification icon so you're notified as soon as that video comes online, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next video.